So I've covered a few content farms now and have pointed out their pros and cons. Mainly cons, and it's been fun, especially when jokes can be made and we can have a laugh, but it seems that we're reaching for the big ones now in this saga of sorts, the really big ones. Some of you have left comments about a very specific one by the YouTube channel WatchData. I've seen these videos before and they're the perfect videos to cover. Each video explains a phenomenon or answers a question on what would happen in a certain situation. The videos are then explained in a visual timeline of sorts. Not only are there over 1,000 of these videos on the WatchData channel, but they're very formulaic as you'd expect and have some interesting topics reused within them. Not only that, but the channel claims they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in making these videos. I'll show and explain my findings so we can truly see if this is a bad content farm or even a content farm at all. So, like and subscribe if you end up enjoying the video, want to see more analog horror videos, content farm videos, and iceberg chart deep dives, maybe? And let's see if this is truly the mother of all content farms. The WatchData channel was created way back on February 8th of 2017, but their earliest uploaded video dates back to 2020 titled Healthiest Foods Comparison. It's hard to say if this is their actual first video on the channel or if older videos were deleted or unlisted, but what we can see is that they've pioneered one hell of a genre of video in the form of these comparison and timeline videos, with a few other types of video essay style videos sprinkled here and there. The topics here are smartly chosen too. They're intriguing questions that are interesting to think about and ponder when presented to us. So much so that millions of people have clicked on these videos, and as of making this video, WatchData has 1 billion video views on their channel, which is a monstrous feat, and I can see why. It makes me wonder how the topics are chosen because they're also interesting at a glance. And you can learn about anything here on a surface level with over thousands of videos that were uploaded days apart. The amount of knowledge given varies between each video, but from what I've been able to see, the older videos seem to have a little more information in them, but it really does vary. And you know what? They're not as bad as churned out videos go. Don't get me wrong, they're a bit shallow, clearly and so easily mass-produced by the channel, but what's within the videos are fairly bite-sized and digestible compared to other farms we've looked at, despite the videos not exactly being of a high quality. They look clean and professional, but they're lacking substance. I'll get into that later. And I mean, most of the videos are under 8 minutes as well. That's below the time needed to put mid-roll ads on a video. For a good while, they were 3 minutes and 3 seconds long. The number 303 signifies peace, forgiveness, and personal growth as a message from guardian angels. I don't think that's applicable here, but anyway, again, the amount of information and what is presented in the videos really is the crux of everything here. I'll explain it more in detail further into the video, but keep that in mind because there's a reason why I've questioned in the video title if this is the mother of all content farms. Right off the bat, let's look at the topics and thumbnails because they're so clearly shown to us. Which, if you've watched my content farm analysis videos before, you'll know that that's how these videos go. You get a video title that makes you want to click on the video, mix that with a thumbnail that's clickable too, and you have yourself videos with tons of views despite what's within those videos. I'll talk about that soon too, but for now, let's touch on the thumbnails. At a glance, they are very eye-catching too, and the text used within them are more than enough to make anyone slightly interested in the title click on the video. You have images that accompany the statistics and text that work hand in hand with them too, and we see a very simple cartoonish style being used for most of them as well. Again, if you've seen my other content farm videos, you'll know that this is a very common practice because of how easier it makes the video creating process. And it also makes the visuals very clear and easy to understand. What these thumbnails do excellently as well is they don't give too much of what the video offers away. They have other parts of the video on the sides of the thumbnails cut off and with question marks. All of this combined makes them very clickable. The clickbait here is top notch. You see these and you just think, oh, I gotta know what this question mark means. What is beyond what's already shown? I'm gonna be spitballing here, but here's some standout video titles and thumbnails I wanted to show you all from the thousands or so videos on the channel. We'll take a look at the content inside them too, but for now, let's just look at some specific examples. Firstly, what if you could stop time? It goes from pranks, committing a public humiliation crime, to robbing Mr. Beast, which I know he's meant to look like he's crying, but it looks more like he's, been part of the rotation, if you know what I'm saying. And then it goes to molestation crimes, and then Superman or something? I'm flabbergasted. I mean, look at her face too. Oh my goodness. It's weird because it's meant to be, maybe it's meant to be serious, but it all comes off as strangely comedic. Next is, what if everyone kept getting more attractive? And what caught my eye was the son attracted to mum statement and image. Just, what the fuck, man? I get the reason for clickbait, but incest is one hell of a way to do it. It's pretty perverted if you ask me, and so is what I can assume to be animals are attractive. You know, on the right side there with an image of a bimbo-looking anthropomorphic rabbit. This is some weird fetish territory. Another strange looking video is this one. What if the German leader of the early 1940s, YouTube doesn't like people saying, woke up today? And we see Palestine gets free after 1.2 years. You know, I'm not going to go into that, but it's all just it is just such a strange thumbnail, especially with what I can assume to be Donald Trump right at the end of it, and he even has that, that look to him, a very Aryan-looking version of the specific German leader. Strange stuff, just like, what if you stayed in the womb? What if you stayed in the womb forever? Resist birth, mom tries to kill you, control mom, and assumably hunted? Why does the baby grow so quickly in the first few months and then into an old man? He looks like he's being, I'm lost for words. And he even looks like he's using some sort of, fleshy laptop in between his legs too? I don't think it's a fleshy laptop. I'm sure it's meant to be there just to cover private parts visually, but I mean, I don't know, it might be something. It might be some sort of controlling mechanism because clearly he's gonna control his mother. It's all nuts. I mean, not in between his legs, that's not what I meant. I mean like the thumbnail. Anyway, this is an incredibly fucked up and cursed thumbnail. The old man fetus in the womb is the icing on the cake for it, of course. And I also have this one here. What if you never stopped farting? And it's just an exploding ass shooting out blood and maybe even guts by the end of it on that timeline? Are we getting into some weird, Elsagate territory? Why do I say that? It's giving me the same feeling, that's all. These videos aren't explicitly made for kids, but their colorful and cartoonish look in the thumbnails might look childish or tailored to children, if that makes sense. Even the ones that are strangely sexualized. I'm not accusing WatchData of anything since I have no proof of foul play, it's just that the thumbnails give off a very weird feeling, and so do a lot of these videos. The optimization strategies to get people to click them is nuts. I've never seen anything like this before, it's on a whole other level. The things questioned in the titles and shown on the thumbnails are things you may never have even thought to ask or ever imagined, and now here it all is for you to binge, and there's so much to look at. Sure, a lot of the videos can share similar topics to one another, but they're different enough to justify the video's creation. Kind of. I point this out because other farms we've looked at, or more specifically, the analog horror one, reuse very similar topics and visuals that make all of the videos feel and sound the exact same. Well, what about these videos by WatchData? What's within them that can set them apart from each other? It all seems very same despite the different topics presented. The timeline or comparison is presented with very neat and clean graphics that are animated smoothly. Things were like this even in the first video on the channel. As the video goes on, the entries higher up on the timeline or comparison list slowly reveal themselves as the visuals in the video pan over to the next one and the next one over a few minutes with royalty-free music playing in the background, and then that's that. The video's over at the last one and we're asked to like and subscribe. As bite-sized and easy to watch these videos are, I don't know, they just don't tickle my fancy as much as I thought they would. I think that's because the video thumbnails and titles created an expectation that wasn't exactly met for me in the videos. Maybe you feel the same way as I do, and maybe so do millions of other people despite watching these videos. Because, you see, I was under the impression that whatever was shown in the thumbnails would make it into the video. But no, that's not always the case. Here we go, here's a recent video, Evolution of Human Punishments, 3000 BC to 2025, has a man getting hydraulic pressed in the year 2001. Well, that's not seen at the 2001 mark now, is it? It's waterboarding instead. There's nothing beyond it either, like how the thumbnail implies too. I've also noticed that a lot of the sex appeal in the video thumbnails don't actually make it into those videos. It's just some crazy clickbait. It reminds me a bit of the older YouTube with reply girls or those thumbnails with the main YouTuber on one side and then a woman with cleavage on the other. Speaking of the thumbnails not translating to the videos, who is this blonde guy? He's made it into a fair amount of these thumbnails, and he even has a blonde woman counterpart. I can see why they're blonde too, it adds to the bright colors on the thumbnails. It makes it pop. And sure, they appear in the videos, but not exactly in the way they're depicted in the thumbnails. I don't think I have to censor it, but the blonde dude goes absolutely ham on a pair of cheeks over multiple thumbnails, and the visuals depicting that are changed slightly. Honestly, that can be said for a lot of what we see in the thumbnails. Mix that with what we see in the videos and, well, it's definitely looking a lot like a content farm. Something that's organized by a corporation and created with the intention to be low quality and cheap to produce. But can create high profits since things are so easily published. But hang on. Didn't WatchData state that they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on research to find interesting facts and statistics? Let's take a look at that information then. As I've already stated, the info is very surface level, but I can also see a decline in the info being presented. Let's take two videos as an example. How much can animals lift and worst times in history to be born. The first video has a clear number indicating how much more than their body weight they can lift and a small but neat fact about them right under their visual representation. It's not a bad video and it's quite inoffensive if you take everything at face value. But I'm triggered. What the heck is this stat about humans? Can lift 2,422 kilograms, which is 5,339.5 pounds. Greg Ernst achieved this back in 1993 and it hasn't been beaten since. What? When? And how? Even the top comments are questioning the statistics. Regarding this stat, it's not represented properly and even confused this commenter. The context for the lift was a backlift where Ernst backlifted 2 cars with drivers and other weights in the cars. This incredible feat is unjustly represented by a bench press graphic and this small description of it that gives no context to what happened. So my question is, how much information in this video is not explained very well, and how much of that occurs in all of the channel's videos? Because if you do a small dive for yourself on videos with a smaller amount of views and large, you can find comments pointing out info that's wrong in the video or info that needs clarification or more context. Making mistakes in videos when presenting information isn't a death sentence or anything. Hell, if you've been watching my channel for long enough, you'll know that I've done this before. But when you're claiming to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, is this the true result of that? I don't think more info would have killed the display as well, would it have? Or at the very least, represent the info a bit better? That brings me to one of their more recent uploads, worst times in history to be born as a human. First of all, where are these hundreds of thousands of dollars going? Maybe it's to getting research papers or facts about the stat numbers that appear, since the descriptions are so baseline and basic that a simple Google search or look at Wikipedia could tell you that for free. Has the money run out for research, or is it running out? I don't know, and I don't want to make accusations, but the use of these AI generated images is indicative of trying to save money in one way or another. Perhaps that's all related. So I think it's clear to see that these videos are part of a content farm. They're not one of the worst ones out there that we've seen, and there are some interesting things to see and learn within them, but they're very shallow in terms of that information. There also always seems to be some weird overlap between generated images, saving money, a decline in quality, and of course, content farms. There's always a surefire way to tell if something might be a content farm or not, among a lot of other things. It always comes down to that point because it's one of the more obvious traits content farms can have, but I wonder how prevalent it is here. The worst times in history video I pointed out is coincidentally the first to go all in on these AI generated images, which makes me question if any of the other videos have used generated images, but in a less obvious form. Maybe with videos not getting the views they're used to, this is one way for the channel to stay afloat, which, if you think about it, is kinda sad. To have to save money in this way, whether you like it or not, would be... I feel like it would just feel dreadful. So I can really sympathize with that. Whether you like AI generated stuff or not, sometimes it's not necessarily a case of small artists or industry artists not getting any work. Sometimes it's a case of just trying to survive. And I put a big emphasis on sometimes. There's a quote I've seen go around, and I'm not really sure to credit it, but it's something like, AI should be used to help creative people do tedious work, not tedious people do creative work. And I think that's a very good way of looking at it too. So whether or not you want to watch these videos is entirely up to you, but I still don't think they're as bad as others we've looked at in other videos. Sure, their quality has taken a bit of a hit, and realistically, how long can these videos keep going until their quality tanks or until interesting topics have already been covered? But there is some sort of enjoyment to be had with these videos, but it feels as shallow as the info presented in them. A meaningful impression isn't left on you, and they pale in comparison to well-produced videos covering those same topics. There isn't really too much else to say other than we've seen this kind of stuff before, and there doesn't seem to be too many copycats imitating this format and spreading, or really much at all. So the farm hasn't exactly spread like wildfire, has it? Honestly, for how many subs this channel has, they don't translate to views, and haven't exactly done that for a while now. The channel has some videos that get large amount of views, but as time goes on, that becomes rarer and rarer. Honestly, the channel's videos might not be being pushed out to as many people through recommendations and even in search results. While downloading videos for this video, some of them were just hidden and I had to add watch data to the search for specific videos to even show up. Mix that with the reusing of similar or same topics, less clickbait, and I think that maybe YouTube is cracking down on them or not rewarding them as they once were. There was a recent change on YouTube where the site would crack down on low effort videos that reuse assets and are too same with each other, and of course, use AI. So perhaps there was something similar that hit watch data as early as a few years ago that might have affected their views, like how many people their videos are pushed out to. Or maybe the videos are being pushed out, but people aren't clicking as much as they used to be. I think the former or a bit of both would be most likely. I do want to quickly look at the channel Copycats too, because despite being smaller and not as widespread, they're pretty bad. Let's start at infinite comparison. They may have less views and subscribers than WatchData, but they sure do try by doing the exact same thing as WatchData. I'm not even kidding, their videos, thumbnails, and titles are almost one for one. The biggest difference here is, honestly, the fact that Infinite Comparison still uses very clickbaity thumbnails. You can also find other channels similar to WatchData that are seemingly abandoned or still going, and I don't think there's a point in diving into them since they're all so similar. Some straight up steal or copy from WatchData or the ones that are copying WatchData. It's like they're inbreeding videos. It's really bizarre. However, in looking at these, I have found a channel that's been making these comparison style videos as far back as 7 years ago, which predates WatchData and these other channels, and that's Redside. Their comparison videos and thumbnails are made using ZBrush, Unreal Engine 5, Cinema 4D, Substance Painter, After Effects, and Photoshop, which are all softwares. As we can see in these videos, for the most part, whatever is part of the topic are 3D modeled and pitted up against each other in the comparison. This is obviously far more different to the static scrolling from left to right we see in the usual timeline and comparison videos. And it looks like Redside, who I think is Vani Plaku, which I hope I've pronounced that name right, is the person credited in the top left of the videos, has some sort of passion for making these types of videos. They're all handcrafted over many weeks and aren't spammed over their channel. Each video has dynamic camera movements, text overlaid with relevant information, and the subjects are usually doing something relevant to what they are. Going from the flat visuals to 3D models moving around in what looks to be a living and breathing world is something else. So it's not a copycat, but I thought it was worth pointing out since it was so unexpected, but in a good way. So it really does look like WatchData was a pioneer of a mother of all content farms, and then it looks like it's been slowly withering away ever since. This withering process looks to have started maybe 2 or so years ago, but despite that, like I've already said, whether you like these videos for what they are is entirely up to you. Hone your opinions from what you see and hear. And that's been the video. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below of what you think of what we saw, and let me know any other thoughts you had on the video too. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more of this, analog horror and iceberg chart deep dives. And as always, we can't forget the shout out to my lovely patrons and YouTube members, and a big shout out to the highest tier Patreon members, Joel Matthew Colgrove, La Creatura, and Low Budget Detective 034. Thank you all for your continued contributions, and thank you to everyone else too. You guys are absolute legends. Stay tuned for more videos like this. Relevant links will be in the description if you want to further look into them, and I'll catch ya in the next one.